What is new YouTube? MGM for life here, back again, giving you the ninth, excuse me, the ninth out of 10 parts of my Generation 6 analysis. We just keep going down the line. We've only got 10 more Pokemon left in the overused tier, so let's get started. The next Pokemon we're going to be talking about is Toxicroak. Now, Toxicroak sports some good typing. Obviously, being a poison type, as I've said multiple times, is an asset. Is going to be an asset in next generation. And Toxicroak is a poison type. Also a fighting type, which is very good offensive typing. Poison and fighting together, maybe not the greatest offensive combination, stab combination, but still going to be pretty good, especially with the fairies coming in next gen. It also has some pretty good attack, I think like 105, something like that, and then it actually has some decent special attack, base 86, I believe, something like that. And then its ability, Dry Skin, was really nicely alongside Politoed, and Rain Tunes basically allowed you to recover a bunch of HP back. And basically invaded the Life Orb recoil, and with leftovers it provided some really nice recovery. Now the cons to Toxicroak were its speed, 85 base speed, not the worst, but again for overuse not the greatest, not really good at all in the overuse tier. And then it's pretty frail, especially being weak to ground. I mean, like uninvested Gliscor could just OHKO it in full health, no problem. So that's going to be one of the problems. In it, like Scissors Bullet Punch just straight up KOs it without a bulk up. So that's another one of its major problems. Now the old sets you saw for Toxicroak are the SD set in the rain, obviously, and then the sub bulk up set in the rain as well. And Toxicroak is it's strange because Toxicroak didn't really get anything new, but because Politoed became a thing, that's when Toxicroak became a thing. And I think Toxicroak's the main asset is, as I said, its typing, because it allows it to switch in on a lot of Pokemon, like other fighting types, for example. It can take it resists rock type moves, which is really good because rock moves are obviously a common attack and overuse. So Toxicroak is one of those Pokemon, kind of like Donphan, that didn't really change much, but because the way the game changed, it allowed Toxicroak's usage to rise. But for next gen, Toxicroak should be able to take advantage of its poison typing. I don't think you're going to see as many SD sets, because I think the just straight up 4 attacks might be much more effective. For this, you could run Adamant, Jolly, Naughty, or Naive if you're going to run special type attacks, EVs, max attack, max speed, or you could opt to do max HP, just so it can survive a couple of hits. That might be worth it while as well, just because it does get access to Priority Sucker Punch. And the item you're going to want to run is Life Orb. You can run Extra Belt, Leftovers, or even Shucka Berry to kind of mitigate some of the ground type attacks that you're more than likely going to be taking. Because I mean, Psychic isn't really a popular attack in overuse, so it's mainly if you're going to get hit. If they're going to hit Toxicroak for super effective damage, it's obviously going to be a ground type move. Now the moves you want to run, Ice Punch, Drain Punch, Sucker Punch, or you could go Hidden Power Ice. Those are obvious, but the main new move that you're going to want to use over Sword Dance or Bulk Up is going to be Gunk Shot, because this is what's going to be able to basically allow Toxicroak to get some kills, because when you're switching onto a fairy type, on a free switching, maybe after a U-turn or a Gold Switch or a Double Down, something like that, and then you're going to threaten them out with Gunk Shot. And people probably won't be expecting this early on in the metagame. They're not going to expect Toxicroak to just throw out a 120 base power stab physical attack move at their fairy type Pokemon. But later on, this Pokemon is going to be able to force switches, because you get it in on their fairies, they're not going to want to take a Gunk Shot, so they're going to switch into, like, say, their Gliscor, or something like that, and you just hit them up with a Hidden Power Ice, predicting them to go to their Gliscor, and that's a dead Gliscor. Next time, now they have nothing that can resist the Gunk Shot, and then next time you bring it in on the fairy, just click Gunk Shot and destroy everything, as long as you don't miss, because it is the poison type Focus Blast, as we all know. But so Toxicroak is going to be really effective next gen, I believe. I actually expect its usage to go up, especially on rain teams, because you can run Life Orb on it to give it, to allow it to hit really hard, and you can kind of, as I said before, mitigate the Life Orb recoil with the Dry Skin ability. So alongside Politoed, you can just throw out some Life Orb Gunk Shots and really not have to worry about the Life Orb recoil whatsoever, unless of course you lose the Weather War. But I think that this set for Toxicroak is going to be really effective next generation. So we're going to move on to the next Pokemon on the list, Kyurem Black. Now, Kyurem Black was once Uber, and there are some reasons why it drops down. First of all, its pros are its bulk. has really good attack stat, base 170, and even pretty good special attack stat as well, base 120. So pretty. I mean, it has some uber stats overall. It really doesn't have like a low stat, you would say, but for the overused metagame, its main cons are it's stealth rock weak. It's also weak to both fighting steel and rock, and that's the main reason why it dropped it down to overused, because alongside the fact that its physical move pool is absolutely terrible. I mean, I think the only stat physical move it gets is well, that's good. I mean, as outrage, it does get free shock, but that's like a physical hyper beam, and we all know that shit is garbage. It doesn't even get like ice punch. Like, hello? I mean, it has no physical ice moves whatsoever, and its physical move pool is just shit in general. It doesn't even get Iron Tail. It's one of the only dragons that doesn't get Iron Tail as well. That actually has a giant ass tail behind it. And then its speed is also a problem. I mean, base 95 again is not bad. If this were underused, base 95 would not be a bad speed at all. But because it's overused and it's lower than base 100, it sucks. So its speed is also a weakness. Now the old set you saw for Pure and Black, Choice Scarf, Choice Bandit, then the sub 3 attack sets were probably the most common that you saw. There was also like a roosting Dragon Tail, sub-roost Dragon Tail set that was going around at one point, alongside Toxic Spike support. But that wasn't really common. I don't think it was a popular thing for long. But Pure and Black, despite its shitty move pool, it does have some pretty good special attacks. And I think that we're probably gonna see Pure and Black become more of a special attacker. I mean, there already was more of a special attacker on 5th gen, because it just really didn't have enough to be a physical attacker, even if it wanted to be. But next gen, it does get access to Flash Cannon, so you can definitely make use of Flash Cannon for Pure and Black sets in Gen 6. So you can either run Life Orb or Choice Specs. Nature is going to be Modest, Timid, Rash, or Naive, depending on how you want to play. You can run Max Special Attack, Max Speed, or Max HP, again, depending on what you want to play. You can definitely take advantage of Kyurem's natural bulk with the Max HP. And then the items are going to be Life Orb, Choice Specs. You could also go with Extra Belt or Leftovers, or even like the Fairy variant. They're most likely going to have that weakened strength of Fairy type move, so that if you're running a bulkier version with Max HP, you can live a Fairy type hit and then just hit them, and then 2-hit KO them potentially with the Flash Cannon. So the moves are going to be Draco Meteor or Outrage, Flash Cannon, Earth Power for Heatran, and then Ice Beam, Blizzard, or Outrage. You can run Draco Meteor and Outrage together. Just so I know, Outrage will allow you to hit the special walls much harder. Obviously, the special walls that aren't fairy much harder. Earthquake also allows you, or not Earthquake, Earth Power also allows you to hit Mega Mawile. And then Ice Beam is just a nice stab move. It's a nice move, nice kind of in between move. So like if you're predicting a fairy type to come in, you can just Ice Beam them, because Pure and Black does have the advantage of being not only Dragon but also Ice. So you can hit them with an Ice Beam for neutral damage, then follow that up with a Flash Cannon. And then Blizzard is obviously much better if you're running a Hail Team. Blizzard definitely will hit anything much harder than Ice Beam will. So this is probably going to be the most effective set for Pure and Black next generation, unless Pure and Black gets some physical moves. Like maybe they'll throw Ice Punch in for Pure and Black and a Move Tutor or something. I don't know, but unless it gets some more powerful physical moves, I just don't see Pure and Black as a very potent physical attacker, even though it has base 170 attack. It's kind of sad that it can't even use it except for Outrage, but that's not even going to be that's not going to be as effective next gen because of the fairies. Now we're going to move into the next Pokemon we're going to talk about, which is going to be Hydreigon. So Hydreigon's pros has got very, very good special attack, base 125. Decent attack as well, base 105. It's actually got some pretty good bulk as well. Also being Dragon Dark with Levitate, it actually does have a lot of resistances. It also has the ability to U-turn, so that's really, really effective if you want to run a choice set. Also, it has Steel. It lost its resistance. The Dark type move lost its resistance to Steel, so Dark Dragon is actually really good type coverage. Now, its cons are going to be, like most Pokemon, its speed. It has base 98 speed, which is pretty good, but still, again, not good enough. If only it had 2 more points than its base speed, it would be much more of a threat. And then it's also, obviously, the Fairy types coming in, so you can't just throw Dracos from the sky anymore like you could last generation, as I mentioned so many times before. Now, the old sets you saw the Choice Scarf and Specs. More often you saw the Scarf set, and then Life Orb for attack. That set was just such a threat. It was one of the best wall breakers. I feel like Hydreigon is one of the best wall breakers in the game. And the new sets for Hydreigon are obviously going to be the Wall Breaker set with Iron Tail that I've used for so many other dragons that can use it. This is going to go for Hydreigon. Now, I think that, again, Hydreigon's main point is that the reason why it's so low on the usage is that, you could run a mixed set with, Dragonite or Salamence and it'll be much more effective. Salamence mainly because Salamence has that base 100 speed, so that really helps it out. And it also has 135 base attack and 110 special attack, so Salamence overall is just better, even though Salamence is weak to rocks, whereas Hydreigon has the advantage that it's not weak to rocks. But I think Hydreigon's main asset over the other dragons is the fact that its ability to U-turn, and thus it can run Scarf sets and not have to worry about fairies. I think that's going to be Hydreigon's main asset next generation over the other dragons. So why would you run Hydreigon over Salamence? Well, because Hydreigon can U-turn, and that way you don't necessarily lose the fairies because you have a choice dragon. So I think that's going to be Hydreigon's main usage next gen. I think you're going to see more choice sets, choice Scarf, choice Specs, maybe even choice Banded with a U-turn to take advantage of that for Switch Initiative. You can definitely run it on a Volt Turn team because of its resistances and the ability to levitate. I think Hydreigon is overall just a solid Pokemon. Now, next we're going to be talking about is Metagross. Now, Metagross's typing pros are its bulk, has pretty decent bulk. Its typing, Steel Psychic, although not great offensively speaking, but overall. But now this gen, it also has access to Meteor Mash, one of the only Pokemon that gets it, and Stab Meteor Mash coming from base 135. Attack is going to scare away any and every fairy in the game, unless it's a fairy steel type. But even still, Mega Mawile is not going to want to take a Adamant Meteor Mash. And then obviously its attack, as I mentioned, base 135. Cons of Metagross: speed, the loss of resistances to Ghost and Dark are really going to hurt Metagross, especially because its speed is so low. It basically take its claim to fame with, hey, I can take one hit and then I can dish out a really big hit back to you. Because running max HP, max attack, Adamant, I mean, you were guaranteed at least one kill with Metagross if you played it right. But the main con for Metagross is going to be 4-move syndrome. If you don't know what that is, it's basically like if you ever had a Pokemon and you're like, okay, I've got 4 move slots, and it just seems like 4 just isn't enough. Like for most Pokemon, for example, like Salamence, with 4 move sets, you can cover a lot with 4 move sets. Dragon move, Steel move, Ground, Earth. I mean, that hits everything that you need to hit. Whereas Metagross, you find yourself wishing that you had that one extra move slot. So it's like, okay, do I run Hammer Arm or Earthquake? Do I run Thunder Punch or Ice Punch? Metagross always had that, that 4 move syndrome. If it had 5 moves, it would have been great, but because I only have 4, it's kind of a problem. Now, the old sets for Metagross, there were the bulky Stealth Rocker set, there was the Agility set, and the Choice Bandit set. And for next generation, I think that the Agilagross set is going to be the most effective set next generation for the simple fact that you're going to be able to get up a free Agility a lot easier, especially if you can switch Metagross in onto a Fairy, because Meteor Mash plus Earthquake combination hits every single Fairy that we know about so far. For super effective damage, and if you get Metagross in on, say, a Mega Mawile or a Gardevoir, they are not going to want to stay in on you because they can't really do much back to you. Get up a free Agility, and now you're ready to sweep, because Life Orb, Max Attack, Meteor Mash does a shit ton of damage to everything that doesn't resist it, and Earthquake hits everything everything else, except for the only Pokemon that can really take on Metagross are Gyarados, Skarmory, and Gliscor. And obviously you have Ice Punch for Ice Punch or Hidden Power Ice, because the Metagross does have, I think, base 90 special attack, which is really good. So you can run Hidden Power Ice, put a couple of because I think you need at least, because it's normally its special attack is 226. I think you need at least 246 to guarantee an OHKO on Gliscor after Stealth Rocks with Hidden Power Life Orb, Hidden Power Ice. So just maxing attack with a couple of special attack EVs. Hidden Power Ice is much better than Ice Punch because you have Meteor Mash for the dragon, so you don't really need that. And Hidden Power Ice will hit those dragons hard, especially with the special attack EVs coupled with the Life Orb. But you have Hidden Power Ice for Gliscor. You can run Thunder Punch for Gyarados. For Gyarados, as you saw, its usage is pretty low on the ladder, even though I am predicting its usage to go up slightly next generation. but you can run Thunder Punch for Gyarados, and then Skarmory, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It really just comes down to, do you want to run Ice Punch or Hidden Power Ice versus Thunder Punch, and in all honesty, Ice Punch or Hidden Power Ice is going to be the most useful for you in the long run. Skarmory, I mean, you're not going to be able to take down Skarmory anyway, so running this Pokemon alongside a Trapper like Magnezone or Gothitelle, or a Pokemon that can deal with Magnezone pretty easily will be much of an asset for you. Not Magnezone, Skarmory, sorry. But I definitely think the Adrill set is going to come back. In 4th Gen, it was really, really potent, late game sweeper, and I think it's going to be just as potent next generation for 2 reasons. One, because you're almost guaranteed an agility if you switch Metagross in onto a Fairy type, and then 2, because this metagame is looking to be just as offensive as the last metagame, there are not going to be that many bulky Pokemon that you're going to run into that you won't be able to KO with Meteor Mash. And I think that that's going to be really, really effective asset. I think Metagross is really going to be a potent late game sweeper next generation with the agility set. And the last Pokemon we're going to talk about is Vaporeon. So Vaporeon's pros are its bulk and its special attack, and the cons for Vaporeon is there's just too many threats. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you're running max HP, max defense, in 4th Gen, that thing could take on a lot of Pokemon. But in 5th Gen, you've had added threats like Virizion and Thundurus. You've also got Pokemon like Keldeo, which is a water Pokemon, but because of the Secret Sword, Vaporeon can't take Secret Swords very well, especially after a Calm Mind. And, after Keldeo gets up a Calm Mind, Vaporeon can't do anything to Keldeo, but Keldeo can hit it really hard with the Secret Sword. And like another Pokemon like Terrakion, 2-hit KOs Vaporeon after Stealth Rocks with Life Orb. Max Attack Life Orb Terrakion, 2-hit KOs Vaporeon with after Stealth Rocks with Close Combat. That's even after Vaporeon being max HP, max defense. So it really isn't taking the hits as well as it did last generation. So that's why Vaporeon's usage is so low. And the old sets for Vaporeon, obviously defensive, especially defensive, pretty much the only Vaporeon that you saw. But it's just that Vaporeon just wasn't taking hits as well because there were just so many hard-hitting offensive threats introduced into 5th Gen, and there's probably going to be more of the same in 6th Gen, so I don't really see Vaporeon's usage going up. In fact, I see it going down. I don't think it would drop down to underuse just because Vaporeon is still a beast. I mean, still a beastie Pokemon by itself, but it does have the potential to drop down to the underused tier. I think this Pokemon alongside with Conkeldurr, they have the potential to drop down to underused tier. In 6th Gen, so be on the lookout for that. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for the 10th and final video tomorrow, and I'm out of here. Deuces.